Hello and good morning. My name is John Barley and welcome for today's sales advice in Farming Simulator 19. Our today's topic is forage harvesters. And after we planted corn in the last episode, the corn now is fully grown. It's about time to harvest it, and this time we will do the harvest with forage harvesters. For making silage out of our corn. Well, in Farming Simulator 19 we have a very nice variety of equipment of forage harvesters. We have them standing all here around, and well, this is a piece of equipment which is quite expensive, and it should be considered really carefully when you decide to buy such an equipment for your farm, and that's why I'm here for. With this video I made two categories for the forage harvesters. Category 1 is forage harvesters up to 700 PS or below 700 PS. And the other category are forage harvesters over 700 PS or 700 horsepower. We will only compare the corn headers. The other headers, like the grass pickup, which is attached to this John Deere. We have now here a New Holland pickup attached to a John Deere. It will work, and also the harvesters for harvesting wheat, oats, barley, canola, and also cutting grass and making it into chaff and silage afterwards. These are basically all identically. They are all the same width, about 6 meters, have all the same price, and also the one which cuts poplars, which is not displayed here, is also for poplars. Actually, there's only one standard in-game. There's now a modded one out, which will allow you to adjust the colors a little bit to match it with your other equipment. But in the end of the day, these headers are more or less all identical, have the identical price, and well, with exception for the grass pickup, for example, there's the Rostelmash one, which is 2,000 euros less than this one over here, but yeah, the difference is so little that you don't really need to consider, or I don't consider it in this review, if you want to call it like that. So we will only look at the standard corn harvesting headers, well, basically because forage harvesters are basically designed for corn, and that's why we only look at these. But by the way, they have the same price as well. So the 6 meter ones, which are displayed over here, cost all 80,000 euros, and the 9 meter ones all cost 120,000 euros, or whatever currency you're using. Yeah, maybe you already have noticed there are no class forage harvesters around here. I decided to do that just because this is the basic in-game forage harvesters, and if you only have the basic game and don't want to buy the DLC or the Platinum Edition and spend money on it, it would be a little bit pointless to attach or to include include the class forage harvesters as well, because you simply cannot buy them. And if I tell you, well, this is a best price performance ratio, but you cannot actually buy it, makes really no sense. So this is for everybody, because everybody who has the game has at least access to these and mods and free mods, and yeah, that's why we don't have the class equipment over here. So, but I will mention it. So let's start right away with the forage harvesters below 700 horsepower or 700 PS. In this order, we have here the Rostelmash F2650, and this is the one with the best price performance ratio in the game. You have this forage harvester over here, 650 horsepower, 305,000 euros to buy for the harvester and another 80,000 for the header. This will give you the best price performance ratio in the game. If you compare this one with class equipment, for example, there's the class Jaguar 980 with 626 horsepower, so barely identical. The class one already costs 456,000 euros, so rather expensive compared to this one. And the same applies for the Jaguar 960 TT, the one with the not with the wheel, what's it called? Well, the chains like a tank. I don't know. I don't have the word right now. I'm sorry. I'm not native English. But nevertheless, this class forage harvesters is already 476,000 euros to buy. So even more expensive. Well, basically on the different wheel setup. So just to give you an idea where the class equipment stands in this comparison, well, really it's rather bad actually. So I don't want to put down class, not at all, but in comparison you really need to want to have class equipment, because if you only look at the costs, this one is rather one to buy than the class equipment. But it's basically like the comparison of a Fiat to a Ferrari. Both bring you from A to B, but actually if you want the Ferrari and you can afford it, why not buying it? Well, moving on. The next in the bunch is the Krone Big 585 horsepower. Also here with the Easy Collect 600/2 forage harvester head, also 6 meters in width. This equipment will cost you, the harvester, 275,000 euros and 80,000 for the headers, so a little bit less expensive than the Rostelmash in overall costs, but also price performance ratio a little bit lower because you also have a little bit lower horsepower. And the last of the bunch is the other Rostelmash forage harvester. It's the Rostelmash RSM 1403. 442 horsepower. These two drive with a driving speed of 40 kilometers per hour. This one only 30 kilometers per hour, so it's a little bit slower. Yes, 442 horsepower, as I said. Also 6-meter header. And this one costs 221,000 euros for the harvester and another 80,000 for the header. Also here, comparison to the Jaguar 980 with 462 horsepower is possible. The Jaguar is faster, it can go up to 40 kilometers per hour. Not operating speed, just standard speed. But the class also here with 374,000 euros, over 150,000 euros more expensive than this Rostelmash forage harvester. Yeah, these are the forage harvesters below 700 PS or 700 horsepower. Next up is this New Holland FR780. We just hop into it. I like the animation of the harvester opening or the header opening. This forage harvester has 575 PS, now with a 9-meter header for 120,000 euros, and the forage harvester itself costs 364,000 euros. Also here a possible option to go for a class forage harvester, same horsepower, 775 horsepower, but the class one already 531,000 euros compared to this one with 364,000 euros to buy for the harvester. So This one is from the harvesters over 700 PS, the one with the worst price performance ratio. But in essence, it's also one of the cheaper ones. Next up is this John Deere harvester, the John Deere 9700, 700 for 770 horsepower, also 40 kilometers speed, operating speed, no, not working speed, but driving speed. This harvester cost 361,000 euros, so 3,000 euros less than the New Holland one, and that's why it's ranked a little bit above the New Holland one, because it's, well, just 3,000 euros cheaper for the harvester. The rest more or less is identical. The horsepower is only 5 PS difference. And yeah, that's the next on our list, directly followed by the next John Deere. So it's the same John Deere series, the 9000 series. You have the 9000 series with 770 horsepower, 870 horsepower, and over there 970 horsepower. So the 870 horsepower John Deere is the next on our list. As I said, 870 horsepower. Costs 388,500 euros, and now I will explain you how I did this. I just took the cost for the forage harvester divided by the horsepower, and then I have a number which defined the rank for the vehicles. So, for example, the 770 horsepower John Deere costs 301 euros per horsepower, and the 891 costs 298 euros per horsepower. So that's how I calculated the price performance ratio with these. So this is the one with the bronze medal on place 3 of the higher powered forage harvesters. Moving on to the one, and also here with 870 horsepower. Maybe I should mention it, there's also a class version of the Jaguar 980 with 884 horsepower, but even here, also here, the class equipment way more expensive with 585,000 euros for the class one. So the class one is basically the most expensive forage harvester you can buy. Moving on to the forage harvester with the highest horsepower in the game. This is the Krone Big X 1180 with unbelievable 1156 horsepower. Also here the animation of opening the header. So this is the header, and now I just took away what the forage harvester can always do. So it's not only that you can open and close the harvester head here, the header here, but you can also open and close the vehicle itself. So just lifting the cap a little bit. If you compare the vehicle here to the height of the corn, you can see why this can be done, just to give you a better overview of your working area. This one, with over 1,100 horsepower, costs 515,000 euros for the harvester and 120,000 euros for the header. So if you decide to have this equipment, you just need to invest basically over 635,000 euros for this type of equipment. This gives him the silver medal. So basically this has more or less the same price performance ratio like the 870 PS John Deere over here. Just if you recall, with the John Deere you pay 289.94 euros per PS. On here with the Krone it's 289.42 euros per PS. So basically only 40 cents different per PS, per horsepower, but you have way more horsepower with this one. Well, and last but not least, the winner is the John Deere 9900 FS19i. This is a forage harvester with 970 horsepower. Here also with a 9 meter header. I attached the random sugarcane trailer to it. This is a John Deere forage harvester for 411,500 euro plus 120,000 for the header. So basically 331,500 euro for this setup. No, 531,000 euros for this setup. So over €500,000 if you decide to go for this equipment. So just fire it up, start the header, and then that's how it works. I'm pulling the sugarcane trailer behind me just to put the shed directly into it. You can also just, if you go on multiplayer, have your teammate drive it and you drive a tractor next to it, or you do it with a hired worker who drives the harvester and you drive with a tractor and a trailer next to it to collect the material, the pipe with all of these. Well, adjust itself. Yeah. And that's it. That's our sales advice for forage harvesters. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much for your interest. Leave a like, leave a comment, and see you next time.